Web Divas! So today we're going to dive in a little bit more into PHP. So open up activityset6 and your FTP on the left side and activityset6 on the right. And we're just going to go through these. So create a new page, fortune.php. And we are making a fortune teller, which will start to show you a little bit about how you can build things that are interactive using PHP, which is something we haven't been able to do yet using HTML. That's what's awesome about PHP is that's where we really start to get the power of being able to build things like games and things that make transactions and lots of fun stuff. So create the new file, fortune.php, and I'll save that. Objective 2 is to copy and paste this code. So click copy a couple times, and the right hand menu is working better for me. So I hit Control, click, and then copy. Paste that in. And so this gives us the structure for our this gives us a structure for an HTML page that doesn't have anything in it yet so far. And you'll recognize the top header code and the bottom as what we've been adding around the pages that you've already built. This time we're just starting out with that framework, and we're going to put everything that's the content of our page between the body tags right here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to paste in is some code that has both HTML and PHP in it. And PHP can go inside HTML anywhere. All that's going to happen is that when the server, which is the computer where this code lives, when the server at webdivsclub.org sees these PHP tags, it's going to compute the things in between the PHP tags before it sends over the code. So copy this code. So I'm going to highlight it all. Control click, copy. And then I'm going to paste it between the body tags. And it's important that it goes between the body tags. And save that. Now I'm going to go to that page in my browser. And by the way, when you've pasted this, you're going to want to change this to your username. So change that to your username. Otherwise, it's going to link to my page and not yours. Okay, so now I'm going to go to that page on my site. So it's katie.webdivsclub.org/fortune.php because that's the file name. So I'm going to type in fortune.php. So what it did is it said, what's your fortune? Your fortune is, and it gave me a fortune. What's happening in the PHP is, so we see right here there's a lot of code, and we don't see that code on the site. The code is already computed. And let's actually go ahead and view the source. That's the next objective under activityset6. At the top of your browser in Chrome, go to View Developer View Source. So you want to click on that tab. Make sure you've got that tab clicked when you do it. View, Developer, View Source. And you can see that all that we get right here is HTML. So this is what shows on the server. This is our code that we have on the server. And the server's actually computed this code and sent us over HTML. So you can see that all the things that are in HTML show up on the client side, our physical computer, the same way they are over here. But everything between the PHP tags, and so this is the start of the PHP, the things with the question marks, and this is the end, all of that gets computed. So we see that doesn't show up at all over here. There's nothing that shows up here between the H1, what is your fortune, and the H2, your fortune is. And then over here in the H3 tags, we again don't see the PHP over here. And the H3 tag right here, it just says what the fortune is. So let's look at what the code is doing. So the code is, it's setting a variable, and we'll be talking a little bit more about variables. We're kind of learning by copying and pasting right now, but I'll explain just a little bit too. So a variable is something that can, it's like in math. If you've seen a variable in math, that's an example of a variable. A variable is something, it can be a number, it can be a sentence, it can be anything. What we've got right here is an array of variables, and so think of these as options. So these are our fortune options. And I'm going to space this out a little bit more so it's clearer to see these. These are all our fortune options. So every option that ends in a comma, that's an option that we might get. Okay, so this is an array. Think of it again as a box of options. We're shuffling our box of options so that this box ends up in any order. So it's basically like we have a hat. Imagine this is a hat. We have a hat, and then we shuffle the hat and we grab a fortune out of the hat. And so this is grabbing a fortune out of the hat. And then echo is displaying the fortune. So displaying the fortune that we grabbed out of the hat. And it's okay if you don't understand all of that. I know this is really, really, really fast, and we're going to go through this lots of times and try playing with more variables, but I wanted to get you started with something that, a piece of code that works, that is kind of fun, that you can play with, and that does something. So instead of completely understanding variables right now, and that's great. If you do, that's awesome. But instead of completely understanding everything about them right now, what I want you to do is just jump in and play with this code. So the first thing I want you to do is just play with the fortunes themselves. See if you can add new fortunes. And the way to add a fortune is to put something in quotes. So we can say, let's see, it's a sunny day. That's another fortune. So we put it in quotes, and then we put a comma after it. And then the very last one has to have this structure right here. So the new quotes that you add, put them in the middle. That's the easiest place to put them. So we'll say, what's another fortune? This week will be a good week for you. And then comma. All right. And you can change any of these as well. Just change that text within the quote marks. So save that. I'm going to refresh my fortune cookie. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. So see, every time I refresh that, I'm getting a new fortune. So what this is doing is it's giving me a random fortune from this list. So I can get any fortune from this list. And so a couple things you can do from here. You can add lots of fortunes. The more fortunes you add, the less often people are going to see the same fortune over and over again. So that makes it seem more random. Another thing you can do is start adding design to it, like we talked about with CSS. Add images to it. Maybe you add a fortune cookie image. Maybe you make it an 8-ball and make all the responses like 8-ball fortunes with an 8-ball picture. Maybe you make it so just like a random speech generator. So maybe you've got a picture of a cat and the cat is saying funny things. So I don't know, like the cat says meow, or the cat says, I want cat food, or whatever it is. Kind of like the old pets that you play with, where you get a pet and the pet wants things. So sorry, I'm digressing. So basically, I want you to just kind of be creative with this. See what you can do with a kind of random phrase generator. Go back to activityset6. Again, we've got some ideas here. So a lucky animal generator, for instance. So one thing we could do is we could change all this to what's your lucky animal. So I'll change this text right here. What's your lucky animal? I'm going to change the title. And the title right here is what shows up at the top of the tab right here. I can change all of this to, let's say, lion, to different animals, cat. Everything within the quotes, that's what I'm changing. And I can add more. So let's show another example of adding more. So we'll do cow. Tiger. And change this. Your lucky animal is, I'm going to change this to get a new lucky animal. Okay. So save that, refresh. And I can click this. This is doing the same thing as the refresh, but it's just there to make it easier. So get a new lucky animal. Dog, fish, giraffe. And now let's talk about variables just a little bit more. So the first time I set this variable to fortunes. And that's just the name of the variable. So this is the name of, think about it as the name of the box that contains all the various options that a person might get. And when I say shuffle, this is a function that does something. The function shuffles the box. And then in this line right here, it says the fortune we actually want is the fortune at place 0. So think about this as saying the first fortune. And then right here it says echo fortune, which means display the fortune. So one thing we can do to play with variables a little bit is just change that variable name. And so I'm going to change fortunes to animals. So my animals are all these various options: lion, cat, dog, fish, cow, tiger, giraffe. I'm going to shuffle my animals. And it starts with a $sign because all variable names start with a $sign. So you can name it whatever you want, but it does need to start with a $sign. And then I'm going to change this right here. Animal is the first animal. And then I'm going to echo animal as well, right here. Save that. Refresh the page. And it works the same way. Cool. So that's PHP. That's our first kind of web application, our first game. So give this a shot. Have fun. See how you want to customize it and make it your own game with your own design and your own spin on it. Let us know if you have questions and just have fun. All right. See ya.